Hello everyone and welcome to my Adobe Photoshop tutorial. My name is TJ Style, and in this video I'm going to show you how can you get started, or actually I'm going to show you how can you do some very important settings inside Adobe Photoshop before getting started with the software. So these settings are really important for a beginner, for an intermediate user, or even for an advanced user of the software. So for getting started, go to Edit menu. If you're on PC, go to Edit. And if you're on Mac, then go to the Photoshop menu over here and go to Preferences. In PC, it's going to be under Edit, Preferences, and then take General. And this is a place where you're going to be doing all the main settings. Okay. Now, I'm going to be telling you to do some settings. So I really want you to follow along with me in this tutorial and do the settings that I'm doing. Firstly, I want you to remove the checkbox on Export Clipboard and remove the checkbox from Use Shift key to for the tool switch. And I want you to put a check on all these three settings: zoom resizes window, zoom with scroll wheel, and zoom clicked point to center. These three settings will make your navigation process inside Photoshop very easy. And the reason why I told you all to remove these two settings is because the first one, export clipboard, will slow down your machine. And if you're working on a small config, then that is going to be a problem for you. And use shift key will actually slow down your workflow inside Photoshop. So those two are not so good. Now let's go to interface, or actually, one more setting that I forgot: image interpolation. This is really important when you are upsampling or actually downsampling some images. So by default, it's going to be bicubic automatic. Change it to bicubic sharper. That I think is the best for reduction. Then go to interface, okay, and go to interface and then change the color theme. I'm sorry, I was actually getting a call. I'm sorry, go to interface and then change the color theme from the default one to a darker one. Now the reason I'm saying this is because you can work better with this color scheme. Say for example, you were to work with the lightest one, you can see that it actually kind of hurts your eyes. And in this case, I've actually got a pretty big screen on my machine, so it's actually kind of getting a little problematic for me to focus on my project. But if you were to work with the darker one, you can really see that the interface stays actually behind and your project really comes up, and it allows you to focus more on the project. So this is really good. Next, over here on the border settings, these are some fancy settings that Photoshop does, so I want you to remove them because it will help you focus on the software, and that is good. Change this UI font size from medium to large, and then come to file handling. And under file handling, if for some reason this checkbox is not there, by default it should be there, but just in case if your friend, your brother, sister, mother changed it, then put this back on. What this does is it backs up, or actually it does an automatic save of your project. So just in case if you go through any crash, you will always have this save recovery option dialog box to save you. And this is really good. In this recent file list, actually, okay, this is actually 20 is a good number. I think in CS6 it was reduced down to 10, or at least in CS5 it was down to 10. I don't know. If this is down for you for some reason, change it to 20, because 20 really allows you to work with more files, and this is really good. Next, come down to performance, and performance is a pretty important tab because this is a place where we will be giving Photoshop the permission to use our computer at its maximum level. Now by default, I think the memory usage is going to be at 70. Now 70 is not a bad setting, but if you want to become a power user, especially for a graphic designer or for a person who does photo manipulations, you really need to give Photoshop a lot of power, and I would really advise you to take this percentage up to at least an 85, because if you do, then Photoshop will have a lot of power and you will be good. Yeah, next we have the scratch disks. Now what happens is sometimes when you are working on some very heavy projects, okay, and your Photoshop tends to get a little slower, okay, and you are giving Photoshop a lot of memory, a lot of power from RAM, but it is still not enough. So what it does is it relies on your scratch disks, and therefore it is really important for you to allot a very good drive for it. Now the default C drive is always a bad option because you have your operating system on it, you have your data on it, you have your desktop power comes from C drive. So C drive is not a good option. any drive which has your operating system is never a good option, whether it is in Premiere, After Effects, Photoshop, Illustrator, Corel, any software using 3ds Max, Maya, etc, etc. Never ever keep at C drive. So I'm going to remove this check. I'm going to put a check on my D drive because it has a lot of free space and it will become, at least it will be better than my C drive. So put a check on D drive and remove the check from C. Awesome. Now let's come to history states. If you're a beginner, I would really advise you to increase this all the way up to 30, because what this means is it gives you like extra undos, right? Undo is like when you make a mistake and you want to press Ctrl Z and go back, right? So beginners will of course make a little more mistakes than advanced or experienced users. So therefore give them more undos, and therefore if you are a beginner, change this to 30 and you'll be good. And I don't know why would Photoshop do this, but for some reason, if this is not available for you, if this checkbox is like ticked off, then that's a very bad thing. If you are serious about Photoshop, always put this checkbox in. What this is graphics processor settings. This tells Photoshop that Photoshop, I gave you the power of using my graphics card in my machine. And for some reason, if this is like grayed out for you, then that means that the Photoshop cannot find your graphics card. And that's a bad thing. I would really advise my viewers, like if you do not have this checkbox in, go get your graphics card updated, okay, get your drivers done. And if you don't have a graphics card, then definitely invest some money in the graphic card, okay? And once you have it, then put a checkbox in and you'll be good. Cursors is good, transparency and gamut. Okay, in this I would like to make one change. In the grid size, medium is good, okay, I don't have any problems with that, but grid color is light and I have some problems with that. This is basically the alpha grid. It shows you the transparency. So just in case if you are to move the image somewhere and you get this dialog, or actually you get this alpha grid, then that's a bad sign. So you need to change this from light to dark because you can see that better. Now you can actually customize this grid box on which colors it is using by clicking on these two boxes and deciding the color. But I would want to work with the dark setting because that's good for me. Units and rulers is good. Guides, grid and slices is good. Everything is good. Plugins, yeah, plugins is actually kind of important. In the filters dialog box over here, or the filter setting, put a check over here. Now what this does is it organizes your filters in a different way. If you were to remove the check, by default the check is not there. You can see that we get like few folders or few categories of our filters. But if you put a check in, you can see that you get a little more categories of filters. So this is not, we are not adding filters into Photoshop, we are just organizing them in a different way, okay? And once you are done doing all this, then click OK, get out of that dialog box, and now you are ready to use Adobe Photoshop. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, Tutorials for Graphics, and make sure you watch the entire training course. Take care, and I will see you all next time. And friends, peace out. Thank you for watching.